My honorable professor and lecturer, and my dear batchmate, Assalamu alaikum. I am Affanur Rahman, MPSM 6th batch. Today I am going to present the topic is factors affecting to adopt digitalization in maritime supply chain. Maritime industry is coming away from ancient time. 90% of the trade is happened by sea. Approximately 11 billion tons of freight are transported each year. The maritime supply chain is organized on the integration of maritime services and transshipment with maritime distribution. In the fourth industrial revolution in the world, digital technologies such as Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, robotics, autonomous vehicles, and 3D printing are changing production and consumption today. Adoption of digitalization in the field of supply chain management promises to bring new levels of connectivity and visibility to supply chain actors and processes, allowing for better administration of increasingly complex global supply chains. Around the world, so many different examples can be given on digital technologies being developed and adopted to improve maritime supply chain. The Rotterdam port is developed by IoT system, which is sensor-based. It increases the port performance by reducing the average berthing time by an hour. The port of Hamburg is now applying as a trial on 5G-based technology, which is known as network slicing. The system allows the operators to control traffic in the port area remotely via traffic lights connected to a mobile network. Singapore has established a center of excellence in modeling and simulation of next-generation ports to conduct cutting-edge research in order to modernize its port. Bangladeshi ports have made tremendous progress in terms of digitalization as well. Chittagong Port Authority has just implemented the container terminal management system. This study will try to explain the factors affecting to adopt digitalization in maritime supply chain and the reason behind the choosing factors. The purpose of this study is to examine the factors and to prove the need of digitalization in maritime supply chain strongly. The main objective of this study is to assess digitalization in relation to maritime supply chain. The specific objectives are to establish the relationship between digitalization and maritime supply chain, identify the factors affecting to adopt digitalization in maritime supply chain, assess the impacts of digitalization on maritime supply chain, identify the challenges militating against digitalization in enhancing maritime supply chain development, proffer strategies for effective implementation of digitalization for enhanced maritime supply chain. This study therefore seeks to provide answers to the following research questions. What is the relationship between digitalization and maritime supply chain? What are the factors affecting to adopt digitalization in maritime supply chain? What are the impacts of digitalization on maritime supply chain? What are the challenges militating against digitalization in enhancing maritime supply chain development? What strategies could be proffered for effective implementation of digitalization for enhanced maritime supply chain? The outcome of the study would be beneficial to ICT division of the Ministry of Ports, Telecommunication and Information Technology and Ministry of Shipping for policy formulation. It would also be beneficial to all stakeholders in the shipping and maritime supply chain sectors, including first-party logistic to fifth-party logistic, shipping companies and all agencies involved in policy formulation and implementation on issues relating to the maritime supply chain. It would also serve as a reference material and stimulate further research in digitalization in maritime supply chain. The study would also add to the existing body of knowledge on digitalization in maritime supply chain. The scope of this study covered time boundary, space boundary and content boundary of the research with rational justification. This study covered the period from 2019 to 2021. This period was selected because the time frame represents a period of heightened international awareness on COVID-19. At this time, adoption rate of digitalization in all sectors is going upward. The study is limited to the digitalization in maritime supply chain. This study considered only adoption factor of digitalization, impact and challenges of digitalization on maritime supply chain. The present age is the age of digital technology. In this era, the shadow of digitalization is covered all the sectors. But in maritime sector, some stakeholder wants to stay in traditional way to follow. First reason, to inspire them to invest in digitalization process in maritime supply chain. Second, I have great interest in artificial intelligence and robotics. Third, this study will help to the future researcher and they will be able to take this field in a next level. This study has depends on mainly internet-based data because of limitation of time. A wide range of data collection from classified group has been found as a challenge of the study. Improved version of digitalization enhance the performance of maritime supply chain. As digitalization is an independent variables and maritime supply chain is a dependent variables. Digitalization refers to the incorporation of various technologies into all elements of everyday life that may be digitized. In other words, the fourth industrial revolution and the Internet of Things have ignited a fundamental disruptive force known as digitalization, which has altered the way we approach and think about business operations and activities. So we can say digitalization is a fundamental disruptive force with incorporation of various technology which has changed the way of approaching and thinking about business operation and activities. Maritime supply chain is organized around the integration of maritime services, transshipment and distribution functions. Maritime supply chain is the connected set of operations relevant to shipping services that is concerned with planning, coordinating and managing containerized goods from the point of origin to the point of delivery. Finally, we can say the maritime supply chain is referred as the movement of commodities and related support services between two major locations by maritime and land transportation. It encompasses the entire shipping sector, which includes shipping lines, port terminal operators, freight forwarders, and land-based logistics. It is a part of comprehensive worldwide logistics system of moving cargoes between places. Where digitalization exists, performance maritime supply chain is turned into an efficient manner. Hence, there is a direct relationship between digitalization and maritime supply chain. Digitalization is the future word. So many researchers worked on digitalization in many fields. Maritime sector was not left out either. DC Favored and his team discussed about an integrated digitalization and business process management viewpoint for shipping business to improve supply chain performance. Vio and Variel investigated the executive mechanism and consequences of digital platforms for business process management in order to rethink and restructure operational process in inter-organizational relationship systems between public and private seaport actors. Kabidani and his team focuses on assessing the level of digitalization in several developing maritime business sustainability. Amdel Guides and his team examined that digitalization and new technologies may assist in development of sustainable business models as outlined in the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. C.S. Young used the technological acceptance models to determine the ease of use and utility of blockchain in areas such as custom clearance and management, digitalizing and easing paperwork, tracking and tracing. F. Zhang and his team explored the use of e-booking system in the maritime supply chain, and in particular the factors influencing the adoption of such systems at the organizational level. F. Zhang and his team also investigates the adoption of open platform for container booking process in maritime supply chain. Identifying and grouping of factors which characterize digitalization process in shipping industry was done by Vebika and his team. The researchers provide a great contribution in this field about digitalization and maritime supply chain. They create correlation between digitalization and maritime supply chain. This study will try to organize all those factors and will make a bridge between those factors and will fill the gaps of them. There are several theories that could be used to situate this study. Among this, deviation of innovation theory is chosen as it discusses how new ideas, behaviors, or goods move across a population and at what speed over the long period of time. Innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards are the primary players in the idea. In most cases, this application of the principle focuses on funding and hiring important early adopters to assist speed consumer adoption. Acceptance rate of adopting digitalization in maritime supply chain has different rate to different players of the society. The level of research embarked in this study was descriptive research. The nature of data collection for this study was an integration of qualitative data for an informed analysis. Survey research design were used for the study to enable researchers obtain data from the existing literatures on the subject for an informed analysis. Secondary sources of data is used for this study. Secondary data were obtained from books, journals, internet, newspaper, magazines, and other relevant published and unpublished materials. Methods of data collection is mainly document analysis from the secondary sources. The analysis of the data collected for the study employed qualitative methods. Qualitative analysis used logical reasoning to arrive at cogent deductions. Analyzed data were presented in a descriptive analytical form. In some cases, they were translated into tables for clarity. Overview of digitalization and maritime supply chain. Maritime supply chain provides better inventory control, better demand forecasting, shorter order fulfillment lead times, and improved logistic flexibility and asset performance are among the benefits of increased maritime supply chain connectivity and visibility. In this study, TOE framework is used to identify the adoption factors. TOE framework means technological, organizational, and environmental context. Technological context: ease of use, usefulness, relative advantage, cost efficiency, information confidentiality, service quality, safety concern, increased flexibility. Organizational context adoption factors are top management support, firm size, ownership structure, compatibility, workforce. Environmental context adoption factors are industrial characteristics, power, authority, supply chain partner, industrial environment, policy, leading organization pressure, market pressure, global generalization. Others important factors affecting to adopt digitalization are forecasting ability, economic, social, and environmental performance (SDG) goals, absence of direct and physical contact in COVID-19 pandemic situation, common language code, shortage of merchant officers rapidly. Impacts of digitalization on maritime supply chains are sharing real-time, cost-effective passage at sea, increase safety of navigation, reduce accident in sea, easing paperwork, tracking, tracing, customs clearance and management, optimal timing of arrival and departure from port, reduction of waiting time on the anchorage, minimization of capacity of port warehouses, reduce carbon dioxide emissions, remote monitoring of offshore assets, reduced intuitive approach, control of complex objects and systems, enable lean and green maritime operations, improving vessel speed, exhaust gas temperature and fuel usage, reduce truck waiting period, minimize congestion in a container terminal, identify the failure cause and provide an improvement plan, provide continuous feedback on port performance. For these impacts, there is some application or software are used like blockchain, AI means artificial intelligence, autonomous ships, e-navigation, port community system, IoT, DMAIC tool, FMEA tool, TQM tool. The challenges militating against digitalization in enhancing maritime supply chain development. The ultimate complexity of the system, safety issues, internal disturbance, inefficient energy consumption, developing countries lagging, need to coordinate simultaneously the personal needs and interests of many stakeholders. Entrepreneurs are not ready to contribute to the system, unauthorized malicious intrusion into system, the imperfection of leading global economic model and human qualities, cyber attacks, digital technology trust, technological error but human, financial assets, related cost benefit analysis are unclear, mid and long term assessment of returns on investment are unclear, complexity and big data, policy and regulatory, unemployment problem. Strategy for effective implementation of digitalization for enhanced maritime supply chain. Government and public sector, they will establish suitable environment for private sector to implement digitalization. Leading organization alliances at that reason they will accept it easily, and that will help to develop and adopt digitalization for the other stakeholders and small organizations. The big concern unemployment problem to solve, train the low skill workers to become high and mid skill workers to solve. It will be take the initiative by government, leading organization and other stakeholders, and also the other specific and broader problem emerge in different solution. When all these steps will be followed, then improved maritime supply chain will be happened. Digital technology can be a scientific enabler of growth and innovation or disruption. This paper identifies some of the key trends, opportunities, difficulties, and factors to adopt digitalization in maritime supply chain. Digitalization of maritime operations can reduce accidents at ports and at sea, pollution and emission, and waiting time at anchorages. Digitalization and automation of shipping industry activities can lead to more cost-effective maritime operations. Strong facilitators of digitalization are investments in technology and collaboration for boosting information sharing, improved coordination and collaboration, which are typically seen as obstacles in highly competitive situations. The barriers for successful adaptation of smart shipping is there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Developing nations are pushed to the limit of their ability to keep up with other parties involved. The current study benefits the target audience by contrasting the demands of marine supply chain with opportunities offered by digitalization, as well as eliciting the main barriers to achieving the advantages. Here are some recommendations for mitigating the challenges to adopt digitalization in maritime supply chain. The government can establish a conducive climate for private sector collaboration and investment in terms of developing and implementing digitalization. A champion or an alliances of champions participating in same maritime supply chain can help other partners develop and adopt digitalization. Different solutions can emerge to solve specific or broader issues in the maritime supply chain to improve information sharing along supply chain. To increase the performance of maritime supply chain process, all key stakeholders must understand the value of digitalization and be prepared to invest time and resources in it. To solve the unemployment problem, the government and the stakeholders have to take initiative steps to train the low-skilled workers to become high and mid-skilled workers. Thank you everyone for watching the presentation and listening with patience.